Hello everybody, Jose Rodriguez here. It is Tuesday the 27th of December. We're almost there. Folks, the end of the year is coming around the corner. Now, yesterday I received a very informative message or comment from an individual from the DP Review Forum. And this was concerning the black ink switching valve that Epson Pro printers use, due to the fact that they only have 8 channels on the printer but 9 colors to deal with. So they share the PK and the MK channel, and so they have to switch between those 2 inks every time you switch from a matte material to a glossy material. And my idea was, of course, to if you are never going to switch, to go ahead and set up a refillable card with PSO flush solution, which is from Inkjet Mall, and then you would flush out the inks out of that channel and switch back to the black that you're going to then be using continuously from then on, and you would be set. You would never have a problem. But he pointed out that the fact that these valves tend to wear out in time, and supposedly they have quite a number of cycles in their life cycle, at least 1,000, I think it was. I'll look it up and tell you guys in the comments to be more accurate. But that's quite a bit. That's more than I would ever switch black inks in my lifetime. So at any rate, I decided to go ahead and switch my black inks. And I did it on my P800, my Pro 3880 and Pro 3800, and it switched with no problems, and I was able to get a clean nozzle check directly after that. And so I'm happy. I make sure that my cartridges had been agitated before doing so. So I went ahead and decided, why not? Let's go ahead and start printing some matte prints on the P800. Remember, I'm using Precision Colors PC K3 HD inks. I had never switched to the matte ink, so I decided to go ahead and do so. And I happened to have a 17-inch roll of Red River Aurora white paper. It came as a 100-foot roll. It was a seconds type roll. It had a couple of kinks on the edges, so I used this for a lot of testing. And since I'm using third-party inks from Precision Colors and they're relatively cheap, I'm going to go ahead and make some prints with this paper. There's a couple of little faults here and there, and the edges, like I said, are a little bit kinked. So I want to quickly show you the results that I got. I went ahead and created a profile, of course, for these inks because there isn't one available. So here are my results. This is my first print. It's still a little damp. I just made these, and I want you to see how beautiful that came out. And here is good old Nathan. And you remember that picture that I showed you earlier that was done on, I did one on Palo Duro and I did one on San Gabriel from Red River. And it came out beautiful on the Pro 100. So let's go ahead and carefully lay these down on the floor. They're still a little curly. Now, I did a wedding for my Chinese friend, and I decided to go ahead and use some of these images to print a few of these very colorful files that I had. And on matte paper, of course, you know, people always complain that the prints are not colorful, that they lack in saturation, they lack in snap and pop. And I want you to look at this and tell me if this lacks any pop. I think it's quite good. And again, this was done on roll paper using the roll adapter. And I believe that the size that I chose was on Q Image. I set up a 16 by 20 cell on 17 by 22 paper. In other words, I told it to print 17 by 22, but to fit the image to a 16 by 20 cell. And of course, my image is not a 16 by 20 proportion, so I fitted it accordingly. And not complaining. It came out very, very nice. Here's another image. This is one of my favorites that I took of the girls. And by the way, she is pregnant and she will be giving birth by the end of next month. And I have to see my girl. The reason I say my girl is because I watched this girl. We were colleagues at work, her parents and I. And she was 3.5 when she came to this country. Now she finished medical school and she's going to apply for residency somewhere around this area in Washington, D.C. This is very large print. It's hard to hold. But I want you to see how beautiful that came out. The blacks are beautiful, very nice and deep. The colors are perfect. This is how I remember when I originally printed it. And it's nothing to complain about. The colors are rich, they're beautiful. The dresses are accurate. And again, I'm very satisfied with this. So remember, the PCK3 HD inks do very well in luster and Barita and papers with a gloss. In fact, also in glossy prints. And I wanted to check the matte performance of this paper. I was already very satisfied with the performance. Excuse my throat. I've been having a bit of a sore throat the last couple of days. I hope I'm not catching another stupid cold. So I decided to do I believe this is going to be a 17 by 25, but of course the printer gives you a nice leading edge. But let me stand up and hold this. I gotta get the orientation right. I believe it's this way. And I want you to see this, how neutral that came out. This is again using my own custom profile I just made this evening using the Color Monkey photo, letting Q image control color, and of course turning off color management in the printer driver. And this is the result I got. And this is quite beautiful. It is very, very neutral. I have very good detail on all of the areas. Let me hold it vertically. I have pure whites here, pure blacks here, and shadow detail everywhere. So this is quite nice. I think that profile is going to work out really, really well for this particular paper and those inks. So that's it. I just wanted to make this short and sweet, just kind of tell you that I went ahead and bit the bullet and switched that black ink. I usually hate doing that. When I had the two 3800s working, I literally dedicated one for glossy and one for matte. The one for matte is the one that died and is still sitting right in front of me here. And I have just not had the time nor the nerve to crack it open and put the new logic board in. I should just go ahead and do it and see what happens. What can I lose, right? So, all right, so that's it. Thank you so much again. Please subscribe, share, and like. And until the next time, happy printing, everybody. Bye-bye.